You've walked through hell and back, maybe more than once. And yet here you stand, unbroken. If someone knew the full breadth of what was done to you, they'd think you were a legend, a myth born of unthinkable pain. They'd wonder how you still managed to smile, to hold your head high, to breathe deeply and live fully. The answer isn't some flashy comeback or a triumphant victory lap. It's far simpler and far deeper. You never lost yourself. From the outside, it looked like you'd been dragged through the mud. Lies woven so tightly they slipped past the keenest eyes, betrayal so personal they left you gasping for air. People you trusted most turned into architects of your suffering. They expected a breakdown, a meltdown, a reckoning. They wanted to hear you roar in anger, to watch you crumble or lash out in fury. Instead, they got silence, an unshakable calm that cut deeper than any scream ever could. That stillness is not weakness. It's sacred discipline. While the world equates strength with noise, shouts, vindication, social media call-outs, you chose a different path. You chose restraint. You chose to guard your soul rather than defend your reputation. You chose to let your integrity stand as both shield and sword, sharper than any public takedown. And in that choice, you discovered something the world rarely understands: that true power is quiet. Think back to the moment it all shifted. You were in a room heavy with lies. Voices whispered behind your back. A rumor took flight, spreading faster than wildfire. Every cell in your body trembled with the urge to respond, to set the record straight, to unleash the proof you had. Screenshots, emails, witnesses. You felt the weight of every decision, the gravity of every potential response. In that fragile space between reaction and restraint, you heard a still, small voice urging, "Don't." And you didn't. Walking away from a public vindication was harder than anything you've ever done. It felt like swallowing broken glass. But you knew that some battles cost more than they're worth, that some victories come at too steep a price. You understood that once you stepped onto that path of retaliation, the narrative would no longer be about your integrity, but about your rage. So you stayed silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you had wisdom. You had foresight. You had self-respect, and by holding your tongue, you rerouted the story. From your downfall to your rising. In the days and weeks that followed, they watched in stunned silence. The same people who once poked and prodded, who reveled in your presumed ruin, found themselves unsettled. Your refusal to play their game transformed you into something uncatchable. You weren't hiding. You were healing. You weren't avoiding. You were ascending. You walked through the storm with your hands clean, your heart intact, your spirit unscathed. Most people never see the internal battle that precedes such calm. They don't witness the long nights of wrestling with bitterness, the tears shed in the dark, the temptation to scream the truth from every rooftop. They don't know how hard it is to watch your own name dragged through dirt by cowards who would break under half the pressure you endured. They only see the aftermath, the quiet confidence, the unspoken strength, the unshakable peace. Let's get real. What was done to you wasn't just unkind or hurtful. It was designed to break you from the inside out, to make you question your worth, to twist your instincts into self-doubt, to force you into becoming the villain in your own story. Your tormentors wanted you to react in anger, to become unstable. to lose your center so they could use your downfall as proof of your true nature. But you refused. You refused to feed them the reaction they craved. Instead, you focused on your center. You let your faith, whether in God, in yourself, or in something greater, anchor you. They didn't realize that every tear you shed in secret, every moment you begged the night to end, was forging you into a warrior of grace. Every time you swallowed your pride, every time you chose silence over shame, you were training your spirit in resilience. That inner work, more grueling than any public fight, was what set you apart. You emerged not just unbroken, but reborn. In the crucible of betrayal, you learned that power without purity is a fleeting illusion. You saw how easy it is to win a battle, but lose your soul in the process. And you made a different choice. You would win by staying true to who you are, not by convincing others of your righteousness. You refused to weaponize your pain. Instead, you transformed it into clarity. People noticed. The gossip that once swirled around you began to lose its fervor. Whispers turned into curious glances. Enemies became silent witnesses to your unperturbed ascent. Your restraint became your reputation. Your peace became your platform. And while the world expected fireworks, what they got was something far more profound, a living testament to the power of stillness. No one taught you this path. You forged it yourself, step by step, decision by decision. You learned that some fights can only be won by not fighting, that the loudest voices often say the least, and that a soul kept pristine in the face of defilement shines brighter than any angry spark. You found sanctity in alliance, freedom in forgiveness, and victory in virtue. Remember those nights you almost broke your promise to yourself? You were up late, haunted by memories and fueled by righteous anger. You typed angry messages and then deleted them. You rehearsed scathing comebacks that would have silenced a room. But each time, you paused. You asked, "What do I lose if I stay silent? What do I gain if I speak?" And you chose the long game every time. That choice hurt in the moment, but it healed something deeper. It healed your trust in yourself, your belief that you could rise above any insult, any lie, any attempt to control you. Through this, you discovered something sacred. The longer you stayed clean, the louder the truth became. Lies, no matter how cleverly crafted, cannot outlast integrity. They crumble under the weight of patience. You held on to your story, even when no one asked for it, because you knew that time honors authenticity. You didn't need to shout. You needed to endure. So now, instead of rehearsing defenses, you spend your energy building. You're creating a life so vibrant that the past feels like a faint echo. You're pouring your passion into projects, relationships, passions that bring you joy. You're choosing people who see your light and refuse to let it dim. You're living in alignment with your highest self, surrounded by those who celebrate your glow rather than fuel your pain. This transformation isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong journey. Some days, the old doubts will creep back. You might catch yourself wondering if you did too little, if you should have said more. You might hear the taunts of your past self reminding you how tempting it was to strike back. When that happens, remember where you stand today. Stronger, clearer, more whole than ever. Remember that your silence wasn't apathy. It was alchemy. You've turned suffering into strength and cruelty into compassion. Most people think survival is enough. They measure success by whether you made it through the storm. But you know survival is just the beginning. True triumph lies in what you do with your freedom. You didn't just survive betrayal, you mastered it. You didn't just withstand lies, you outgrew them. You didn't just move on, you leveled up. That mastery radiates from you. It shows in the calm with which you handle setbacks, the empathy with which you treat others' pain, the quiet confidence in your decisions. It shows in the way you smile, not as a shield, but as a declaration that you are more than the sum of your scars. You are beauty made resilient. Now, as you walk forward, know this. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your journey to those who refuse to understand the map. Your story belongs to you, and it unfolds in every choice you make. Each morning you wake up and choose peace. You rewrite the script. Each time you forgive others, yes, but most importantly yourself. You strengthen the chain of your redemption. Your future is a canvas, and your hands are clean enough to paint it freely. You have the power to create joy, to cultivate hope, to inspire change. And when the naysayers watch your rise, they won't see a comeback. They'll see a revelation. That the greatest triumph is a soul that remains unblemished despite the darkest trials. So keep walking, keep shining, keep that sacred discipline alive. Let your life be the testimony no rumor can eclipse, the proof no lie can overshadow. You didn't fight for applause, you fought for authenticity. You didn't seek revenge, you sought renewal. And in that, you won something far more precious than any victory could offer. A place of peace that no betrayal can ever steal. Welcome back to yourself. The cleanest hands in the dirtiest room. The quiet conqueror. The living proof that light can never be extinguished, only concealed for a time. Your survival story isn't about how loudly you screamed. It's about how peacefully you walked through the fire and emerged, not just intact, but luminous. That is your legacy. That is your power. And that is your sacred invitation to keep rising, shining, and living as the divine masterpiece you were always meant to be.